All right. Well, welcome everybody. We are super excited to share some of our upcoming product capabilities in spring launch with all of you. We are going live on May 10, but we want to take an opportunity to give you guys a little bit of a sneak peek. And before we do that, we actually have a panel who we want to get introduced. So I'll go first. My name is Neil Shah, and I'm the head of product marketing here at Sendoso. And Cody.
Yeah, hi there. I'm Cody Farmer. I have met with a lot of customers in the past, so you may have met with me before, but in general, just work at Sendoso and help on the growth side and with integrations and things like that.
Everybody, I am Luke. I'm a product manager here at the product team at Sendoso. Really excited to be here to highlight some of our new features.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, all. Brandon Knight. I'm the Assistant General Manager at our Sending Fulfillment Center. So helping to make the operation kind of work and deliver magic to all of our clients. Happy to meet you all.
Awesome. Thank you. And so let's dive right into the agenda. It's a pretty straightforward one. So first of all, what we want to do is we want to cover some of our launch themes and pillars. We will then share insights into what's new. So what are some of the product capabilities, use cases that we're launching with this spring launch? I also have Luke and Cody with me who are going to give you a little bit of insights into the product demo. And then we'll also leave some time for Q&A chat. By the way, we want to make it super interactive with you guys. So if you guys have any questions at any point in time, punch it in the Q&A chat. We'll take a look at it time to time and obviously address those. So with that said, let me kind of give you a little bit of sneak peek into the themes, right? So the three themes for our spring launch are personalization, transparency, and integrations. And as product management teams were thinking of rolling out these product capabilities, as a team, we decided to double down on these three pillars. And I know there are a lot of requests around personalization, customization of not only for gifting, but also all the way from emails and delivering the end-to-end experience. So if you look at the personalization pillar, you will see new product capabilities such as self-serve custom domain, our new marketplace enhancements, new sourcing tab, global address confirmation settings. We're actually also rolling out event sending use case as part of this launch, which is going to be huge for us. And then you look at transparency, we've completely revamped our send tracker, which is going to give you really granular level insights to efficiently track and manage all your sends. And finally, integrations. We work very closely with our partner ecosystem, so you are going to see new integrations around Microsoft Dynamics, Gainsight, Monday.com, AdMeet, and many more as part of this launch, right? So here's what we're going to do. I'll cover some of the benefits of these product capabilities, and then I'll pass it to Luke and Cody for some product demo. So first up is self-serve custom domain, right? So what is the benefit of having a self-serve custom domain? Imagine you're working for a company, and I'll just take an example here, Microsoft, right? Whenever you want to send gifts to your recipients, you want it to be sent in a way that is coming from Microsoft, right? So the ability to send personalized emails via your own custom domain really will help you drive high recipient engagement rates. Now, we do have custom domain capability today, but it needs to be configured manually. With the introduction of self-serve custom domain, now you have the option to fully self-serve and automate the entire process, which is going to give you, both time and money savings, right? And I think the key benefit is it's going to allow you to drive high recipient engagement rates while sending personalized emails, right? And it's going to be available for Plus, Pro, and Enterprise accounts. So if you're on any of those packages, you will get this product capability by default. Next up is marketplace enhancements. And so what our product management team has done is they've actually added some new and improved faceting, sorting, and search capabilities. And the advantage with that is you're now able to find your relevant gift in a much more speedy fashion that allows, again, give you both time and money savings, right? So think of these capabilities as a way to find your relevant gift for your buyer in the fastest possible way. Next up is sourcing tab. So I know a lot of you guys request personalization and customization of gifts for your recipients. And as you look at our platform in the current state, some of those options, are hidden. And so what we wanted to do is we wanted to make it really easy for, for you guys to really find ways to customize and personalize gifts for your recipients. And so what we're doing is we're now introducing a new sourcing tab as part of our user interface. And when you click on it, you will have two options, right? You'll be able to get in touch with our Send Curation team, who will be able to help you put together bespoke, personalized experiences for your clients. And at the same time, if you're more of a self-serve sort of person, you will have access to custom brand shops. So yeah, again, this is a huge one, a new sourcing tab on our platform that will give you instant access to Send Curation and custom brand shop to help you build personalized and customized experiences for your recipients. Next up is global address confirmation settings. So what we've done is, as part of this launch, we are giving you an option to enable global address confirmation settings by default for all touches and sends. And the key benefit on this one is it gives you improved admin control. So in today's environment, when you're using Sendoso, you have to configure global address confirmation setting for each touch and send. But now with the spring launch, you'll be able to enable it by default for all touches and sends. So the key benefit here is improved admin control. And then finally, improved send tracker, right? So the key benefit with the revamped tracker is now you have granular level visibility into all your sends. It's a completely new modern interface with robust filtering, search capabilities, sorting capabilities, intuitive statuses that's going to allow you to really efficiently track and manage all your sends from one place, right? So these are some of the new product capabilities that we are launching as part of the spring launch. And I actually want to take an opportunity to pass it to Luke, who's going to actually walk you through a product demo.
Cool. Thanks, Neil. If I could share my screen, I can get started.
Absolutely.
Great. So we're going to start with custom domains. As Neil spoke to, this allows you to configure a custom domain, a branded, personalized email address for your business that all Sendoso notifications will come from. We obviously understand how important branding and customization is to our customers, and this is just another step in being as flexible as possible. So as Neil said, we've offered this in beta for some time, but this is the first time we allow any customer on the appropriate plan to set this up themselves within the app. So as you can see here, this is the custom domains landing page. You'll find this in the sidebar right under this new custom domains button. Once you're here, you can begin setup. It's really two steps. The first half you initiate within the app. So once you're ready to set it up, all you need to do is select the email address you want to use. So for this example, I want to use gifts@lukescompany.com, my highly successful business. And then I will authenticate the domain. We'll be doing checks in the background to make sure that the domain's available, it's authenticated. And at this point, you're good from the app setup perspective. All that's now required is to add some records to your domain hosting provider. And from there, you'll be good to go. We make it really easy to do so. You can simply copy the records right here, or even email the records from the app to whoever within your organization works in your IT department or is the appropriate person to complete that setup. Once you've finished that step, we will automatically verify that email domain, and you'll see this status change to verified and your notifications coming from that configured address. So again, really easy two-step process, all available within the app. As Neil said, we're really excited about this. We've seen on average over 7.5 increase in open rates for notifications using custom domains. So not only is this another opportunity to present your brand with your sends, you'll actually see those downstream positive impacts on your engagement and ultimately the ROI of your sends. So that's custom domains. Now we're going to jump over to the new sourcing tab. So sourcing is a feature we offer that many of our customers take advantage of. We have two options here. One is our Send Curation team, which is a talented team that we have that will help create bespoke sourcing options for whatever gift you need to represent your brand or your message. And we also offer the custom brand shop, which is our self-service avenue. So now you'll notice that in the high-level global nav, we have a new sourcing tab. Once you're here, you can really easily schedule a discovery call with our send curation team if you want to go that route, or you can access the custom brand shop from here as well. So again, for customers that already utilize sourcing, this will make it even easier to engage with either our send curation team or our custom brand shop. And for those that maybe want to give it a try, this is now the best place to do it. Next, we are going to jump over to global address confirmation settings. So as Neil said, for those familiar, anytime you want to go and execute a send or you're creating a touch, you have to manually configure the address confirmation options. We understand that a lot of customers feel strongly about address confirmation. We do ourselves. It has definitely positive downstream impacts. But you understand it's tedious to set up every time. And as an admin, you want to make sure that your sends are being executed with the appropriate address confirmation settings. So what we have here is a new global setting. You can see it's disabled by default. But if you were to enable it, you can now turn on address confirmation globally. You can configure different subsettings. So I don't want to send the package if the recipient doesn't confirm. I want to offer 5 days for address confirmation by default. And you can update these settings. Now these settings are the default global values, and that they will be inherited anywhere that address confirmation applies. So while sending or while setting up a touch. So if you were to go now to try to execute a send, I'll try this direct coffee touch. You'll see that I now have address confirmation enabled by default. All the relevant subsettings are already applied. I can, of course, override them if in this particular scenario something works better. If I don't want to use it, I can opt out. But again, these default settings we hope will make it even easier to send, even easier to set up touches, and as an admin user, give you more control over the settings that your organization is using. So with that, we are going to jump over to the marketplace. So you have a number of exciting changes in the marketplace. What you're seeing here is the current marketplace experience. There's a couple of changes I want to call out, as many of you are probably familiar with a very extensive marketplace. And so it's really important that the browsing ability that you all have is as streamlined and as efficient as possible. So the first thing to call out is you'll note that by default, everything in the marketplace is sorted from newest to oldest. We understand that there's different criteria that people may want to filter or sort the marketplace by. And you'll note in the new experience here, we're now offering several different options. You can sort by price, lowest to highest, highest to lowest, as well as newest, if that's your preference. This also lays the groundwork for other sorting options in the future, which we'll continue to expand upon. We've also improved our search capabilities. So to give an example, in the old marketplace, we use a search that relies on pretty basic text matching. So even looking at this example, you can see one of the options returned here in the 4th spot doesn't even look like it's coffee at all. And you'll note if you look into it, one of the options are chocolate-covered coffee beans. But if you're searching for coffee, that probably doesn't match exactly what you're looking for. In the new marketplace, we're utilizing more advanced search technology that not only utilizes text matching, but also attributes for the gifts themselves. You can see by this search results, everything looks much more relevant to your search. And even just glancing at these top 8 options, they look like they all contain either coffee beans, coffee grounds, cold brew, etc. So the searches that you make in the marketplace will return much more relevant results ranked higher. The last thing to highlight is what we call faceting and how that impacts your ability to use filters. So to give an example, let's say I have a contact in Canada and I'm looking for different use cases. You can see that there's a lot of use cases here. Maybe I want to accelerate this deal. There's no results found. And this kind of highlights that it's not always intuitive what combination of filters are going to even return results, because not every marketplace item is going to fit the criteria for every filter combination that you use. What we're doing in the new marketplace is that the filter options will actually trim out and remove themselves when they're not relevant to the filters you already have applied. So you can see here, I've selected Canada. And when I go to use cases, deal accelerator isn't there anymore, because as we know from the previous example, we don't have any deal accelerator options for Canada. And I'll highlight this more. If I were to add another criteria such as price, we can see the use cases have been trimmed down even more. So what this does is this really ensures that as you're filtering, as you're browsing, as you're narrowing down the marketplace, what you see in filters will contextualize based on what you've applied. And you can be confident that what you select will return a result that matches the criteria that you've added. So we're really excited about these changes. This overall will really increase the browsing capability our users have at the marketplace, make it easier to find better gifts faster. And finally, this will take us to the send tracker. So this is the new send tracker, as you can just see at a glance. We've completely remodeled the entire interface. This is using our new design system, which we're rolling out in many places, as you may know, across the application. We've completely rethought the table. So we've done a lot of testing to ensure that the fields we're showing in this table are the most relevant to our customers and users. You have recipient information, you have your touch name, the gift type, the sender, the team, when the date was created. We've also really evaluated statuses where we've condensed statuses where they make more sense across different send types. We've color coded them based on the category. So you can see here, blue represents sends that are in progress, whereas green represents sends that are completed. This table is completely sortable. So you can sort ascending or descending by any of these different rows or columns. We've added pagination, so you can easily navigate through pages in the table. We've also supplemented our filtering capability. So now in this new filter drawer, you can filter by any combination of status. You can filter by the high-level grouping of statuses as well. Gift type, we offer date range as well as a custom range, teams, touches, and then whether or not you want to see test sends here. The nice thing about filters as well, as you'll note, we have filter pills that will update based on your interactions with the table. So this makes it really easy to see what you have the table filtered by. If you want to modify your filters, you can really easily interact with those pills to update the table. The other exciting thing that we have is our new send details page. So this is really a net new feature for all of our users. So for every send, you have a dedicated send details page. We envision this as really the one-stop shop for any information that you need regarding your send. So you can see at the top, we've listed a couple of the key links or information that are relevant to the send. Important links like the eGift link, the address confirmation link, tracking information is all available up here. You have send information, you have recipient information. Every send, regardless of the type, will have an updates feed. So you can see exactly what the status was at what point in time, as well as a description for what that status means. You can see the cost of the send. And in this particular case, you have a Sendoso choice, and you can see that there were these 4 options included for the recipient to select from, and they chose the DoorDash option. So our hope is that this is a very transparent way to get any and all information you want for your send. And we're looking to continue to add to this page as we grow and expand over time as well. You'll note also that every send has a send ID. We hope that this will be even more helpful in streamlining your need to search and identify sends, to interact with your CSM and support. We really want to make sure that every send has a unique identifier, so you know exactly what send you're referencing and can use it elsewhere across the app. Looking at another example, you can see that the gift information is also relevant for physical sends as well. So now for direct items, you can see what direct item was included. If you're sending a physical inventoried item, you can see all the items that are included in that send. You have your recent updates here as well for the direct send. And then an easy way to hop over and see exactly what stage of shipping the send is as well. A couple other things to close out on. We have an issues tab that we've added here where you can really easily filter the table by all sends that have issues. There are a few issues that we support today. So if the send doesn't have insufficient funds to cover the send, if the send's been flagged as a suspicious email or an invalid email format, that's flagged as well. And you can really easily cancel or resolve and send anyway these issues right from the page. And if you were to hop into the send, you can see we're surfacing these types of alerts whenever there's an issue, where you have context on the issue, and then you can take your desired action there as well. One last thing to note is we're still continuing to support our CSV download. We've expanded on what's included in this export. So everything that you see in the send tracker, whether on this main page or the send details page, is accessible in the CSV export, as well as more information as well. And the nice thing here is all CSV exports will be delivered via email, but we also offer the ability to download them in browser. So when you go to initiate the CSV export, you can wait in the browser, it'll download directly, and you will also receive that email notification with your export as well. So that is just about it for product updates. I know we covered a lot. I think we'll have some time for Q&A at the end. So I'll be happy to answer any questions or go more in depth there. So I appreciate the time, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you, Luke, for walking us through the product capabilities there. I'll just kind of read through some of the great comments we're getting on the chat here. It seems like our customers are really excited about the revamped send tracker. So Casey says, nice, this is going to be a great time saver. Lauren says, so slick and straightforward. Annalie says, I love how you can sort by each column. Danielle says, this is awesome. It's so hard to get all these currently. So this is going to be a huge time saver. Jamie says, this is fantastic. And then Rob says, this is great. So our customers are super excited about this revamped send tracker. So that's awesome. Since we've already covered some of these capabilities, why don't we actually take one question that's tied to self-serve custom domains. So I'll just pull it up on the chat here. So the question from Haiti is, are you suggesting we use our official corporate domain or net new version? Luke, do you want to take on this one?
Yeah, it's a good question. I could use some clarification on the net new version, but in general, this is really something for the customers to decide. Whatever you feel will best represent your brand via an email domain and address. We've seen the domain match the company in the majority of cases. So, in our case, at Sendoso.com. And most of the time, in terms of the prepended, it's, gifts at Sendoso.com, thank you at Sendoso.com. So the flexibility is really for you to decide what works best to represent your brand. And we're happy to troubleshoot or provide best practices too, if you have any questions there.
Awesome. Thank you, Luke. All right. So why don't we continue with the presentation here? I'm going to pull it back up right here. And so next up, what we wanted to cover is event sending, right? So as part of spring launch, what we've also done is we're officially rolling out event sending use case. And so, just imagine if you're a field marketer, right? And you're hosting many events in a given year. the amount of time it actually takes to take branded merchandise to your event location. Now you got to figure out how you're going to store your booths, how you're going to store your tents, how you're going to store your pop-ups, right? Handouts. I mean, it is just literally chaotic, right? And so what we've done is we want to fully, take away the manual process away from you and make sure as a field marketer, you're really focused on delivering an extremely memorable event, right, for your customers and prospects. And so with event sending Sendoso SFC or Sendoso, we will now have the ability to ship directly at the event location. So if you have a branded merchandise, if you have tents, if you have booths, you have handouts. As far as those, as far as those self-contained, we will have the ability to ship it directly to event location. And so there are certain guidelines as far as this use case is concerned. And so what I wanted to do is Brandon's going to walk you through some of the key considerations and SLAs as part of this event sending. So Brandon, I will pass it to you next.
Awesome. Good day again to all. And thank you for that great introduction, Neil. As mentioned, right, like we do want to take the burden off of our customers in regards to event and trade show fulfillment. So we recognize this, even though that we were doing it, pretty much since we've started, we recognize this was a huge opportunity to really provide the best service to our customers and revamp what we're doing here at Sendoso in terms of event sending. So we've poured a ton of hours into this to really ramp this process up from end to end and make it as user-friendly as possible. So some of the guidelines here, again, these are for in-person events. Sometimes there is some confusion, but I think, most of the time we're tracking in-person events at a trade show or other in which, we seek to expand our reach as customers and ultimately hand out some goodies, if you will, in the form of swag or other. So these do need special attention from support team and the SFC. So that's where it differentiates from our generic sends where you just go in and simply create the touch. Now, the process is very similar. You'll still create the touch, but then we need some additional things. And this, again, is just to foster a seamless transaction and successful fulfillment. So we're asking that when touch is created, partner with your respective CSM if you have one and or support. And what that does is trigger some additional notice. We capture all the details and then ultimately we can fulfill accordingly here at our end from the operations side and then get those over to you. So one of the things that we really like to nail in is what we need to outfit the CSMs with in terms of our SLA or our service level agreements. So for those, domestic is roughly 7 to 10 business days. We are committing to 7. We've been able to achieve that by and large here at the SFC, and then international 21 days in advance. So what does that mean for you, right? If I'm a customer and I'm going to an event, generally speaking, I should know at least a couple weeks in advance, if not more. So we're asking that if you can give us a heads up and a longer lead time, this will help us achieve several things to include, but not limited to, going ahead and doing a full audit on your inventory that you want to send. This allows us to make sure that everything's in good condition. There's no discrepancies, damaged items, etc. Now, if there is, it also allows us the time window to correspond back and forth and understand how we want to move next steps. And that still allows us to fulfill within the need by date. That is expanded 21 days to international, just because we know that there are potential issues with a customs clearance and then other complications when entering the ultimate destination company or country. And so that's why we have expanded that window based on our historical data and what we're able to achieve. International orders can only be shipped from UK, EU, Australia, and then case-by-case scenario. So here in the US, right, like we can certainly service like a Mexico and a Canada, as well as other places. We've done so in Zurich, as well as like Copenhagen and others. So it's not to say that we can't. However, there are some things, involved in that. And I think cost would be the number one. And I think we're all looking at a cost-centric mentality here. So just be advised, right? International sending is obviously going to come at a cost just from a overall shipping perspective. But those are kind of like our key things that we'd like to lead off on. We can go ahead and move into the next. So continuation of our service level agreements. Domestic, we can fulfill within 7 days, and international within 10 days. And I like to cover down on this one a little bit because there are opportunities, as you may already know, in selecting your preferred shipping method, right? So if we select a 2-day or an overnight shipping method, that's only in respect to the shipping method, and that's not the ultimate fulfillment timeline and arrival time, right? So if I want something to be overnighted, we still are exercising a 7-day SLA commitment. Now we can certainly move some resources and get it there earlier, but that is our guarantee to you. But I do preface again that if I select overnight shipping, that does not mean that we're going to pick, pack, and ship the item within the same day and overnight it, although that is possible upon a special request. Again, for international, 10 days, and that's just giving us that additional time to clear customs, and then any other potential complications that we do see sometimes in certain countries. Now, obviously, some are more friendly than others, but there are some in which there are very specific requirements requiring like a EROI number, and that does help get it through. Now, what can we store and ship? This is part of the biggest initiative. So we can always send things out, but in revamping this process, we wanted to expand our services to include the ability to store your reusables or your event items that you're going to go, such as, a tabletop, banners, overall decorations, anything else that's needed. Now, there are some limitations, which we'll get to shortly, but we can certainly store and ship anything that's within a self-contained shipping container, right? So a few good examples there on the slide. And what does that mean? It's essentially that if you are going to send us things and ask us to store, we do ask that they are self-contained, right? So if you have a booth, a tabletop or tablecloth, etc., we do ask that that's self-contained within a shipping container of sorts. Now, it doesn't have to be specific. We have 4 different examples up there and many more. We actually just accepted a crate that's about 15 by 12 feet. So things up until, that large of a size, we will take. And that's ease of use for both you and us, right? So we will receive it as such. Everything's internally a component. We don't have to open it up, go through everything, right? We'll simply store in our inventory locations. And then at the moment in which you have an event, that will be then selected as a send, as well as the other items that you want to send as its own SKU. And then we will fulfill that accordingly. Can't stress enough, again, very important that they are self-contained, just to limit the potential for discrepancy and or damage to the internal components. All right, so what can we not store? So a few examples up here, audio-visual equipment as a starter, right? There's just too much potential for damage here. And it's something that we're working on, but for the time being, we're not able to store those in an efficient manner. The next one is we're not able to launder any items. So we've gotten some requests specific to like our tablecloths and such. So unfortunately here at the SFC, we do not have the ability to launder any of those items. Of course, if there's like dust or anything else that we can wipe off, we're going to do our due diligence there and make sure that it gets to you and arrives in a clean nature. But the reality is, we're going to send it back out upon the condition in which we received. So with that, we're not able to launder. Other things are like instruments and such. Right now, we don't have a solution for storing those types of items. Not to say that we won't in the future, but just be advised there. And then finally, like these tables and others that are just not self-contained, we will not be able to store, right? We want to make sure that those, again, are in some sort of shipping container, crate, etc., so we can store and ship accordingly. You can go on to the next. Oh, I think we're wrapped up there. One more thing that I did want to add, just for everybody, when we talk about dangerous goods, and there's more documentation here, but just to put on the forefront of your minds is dangerous goods do require a bit more labor-intensive process, specific labeling, and other things also restricted in countries. And power banks specifically are one of our most complex items to send based on the packaging requirements. So you can think of if I want to send power banks, they're rated in their shipping, and I'm not going to get too granular here, but they're rated in their shipping in terms of their milliwatts, amp hours, and that determines how many can go into a container, right? So let's say I want to do a send of 50 of these. they can go in as many as 6 per container and as little as 1. So the implication here is that we are going to have to increase overall shipments in terms of the containers, and that does increase cost as well as our timeline. Now, we're still committed to the same SLA, but I do always like to share that with our teams just to make sure that if you are going to lock in a dangerous goods send, you have thought through all those things. That way we can get those scheduled early. We can go through all the pieces, make sure they're labeled accordingly, but also the cost piece. Hate for anybody, to lock in a send and then realize that the cost is going to be more expensive based on the packaging requirements that are outside of our control. So wanted to share that piece and leave that with the group. But hopefully this helps. And we're more than happy to field any questions, and we're continually learning, right? Like, this is a process that we're constantly revising based on the use case and needs of our customers. So whereas we may not be able to do it today, the potential is we'll find a way to achieve that on your behalf in the near future.
Awesome. Thank you, Brandon, for walking us through the key considerations for the event sending use case. I'll just kind of read through some of the comments we are getting on the chat. Jamie says, this will certainly help with the conference season. Awesome. Austin says, the number of old event banners I have in my garage from old companies is high, and the hours I've spent at UPS is also crazy high. So love this update. This is awesome. Casey says, shout out to our CSM, Ted, who just helped us with this. We appreciate you, Ted. Awesome. Go, Ted. Lauren says, yes, Ted was crucial in getting our inventory all set up for a conference next week, the best. And then we also have one question, so we can take the question. Let me pull it up right here. Yeah, so the question comes from Dana. Dana's asking, will you be able to attach warehouse shipping labels for event sends?
Hey, Dan, if I understand correctly, are you referring to like a return label? If we can specify. If so, we definitely can. So that's something we do offer. We are offering the ability to return those items upon request. And what you need to do is during the touch creation and the special packing instructions, that's where you would house that. Now on the back end for us, that all gets captured both in our operations management system as well as our trouble ticketing system. So we have high level visibility and can execute accordingly there. I hope that answered your question. If not, feel free to clarify, and then we can circle back.
Awesome. There is one more question from Rob. So let me see if I can.
Neil, do you mind if I address? So I see that she clarified the exhibitor request. We had additional labeling for inbound. Yeah, so anything that's necessary in terms of making a successful send, we can certainly do for you, whatever that labeling needs to look like. What we've done in the past is receive PDFs that have been sent to us that we're able to print and apply upon request. And to your point, one of the things we ask our CSMs to do, and something that our customers should do from a due diligence standpoint, is understand any and all barriers or key considerations at the event or trade fulfillment center. Where our carriers are able to deliver anywhere and are willing to do so, there are constraints applied from the host center themselves. So it's very important that we know and understand what those look like, so then we can articulate those back to the CSM and ultimately to us, so we can move within those confines.
Awesome. Thank you, Brendan. There is one more question that comes from Rob. So Rob's asking, I haven't used Sendoso for events up to this point. Does your team help in the design and production of event collateral, or do we just send our existing event collateral, that is banner stands, table skirts, backdrops, to store and ship from your warehouse?
Yeah, so that's actually a great use case that we can explore. At this time, it would be simply you all sending us what you would like to ultimately stand up at the event. We don't currently design or produce anything in-house. Now we can do stickers, PDFs, other things as mentioned, but in terms of like creating banners and such, we haven't quite gotten that far. Again, this is not to say that in the near future we won't be able to explore this as an opportunity, but for the time being, it would be you sending us your items similar to any other inventory with a shipment notice and then SKU level data, and then we would inventory those and then fulfill them upon request when the send is created.
Awesome. Thanks, Brendan. So moving gears a bit to integrations.
Awesome. Oh, sorry.
Let me just quickly cover a couple of integrations, Cody, and I'll pass it to you. So We've actually rolled out native integrations with Microsoft Dynamics, Gainsight, Monday.com, and AirMeet. And what that essentially allows you to do is, if you're using any of these applications, you're able to easily send gifts from your existing workflows, and then measure and drive ROI of your sales and marketing campaigns, right? So we're rolling out Microsoft Dynamics integration, Gainsight integration, Monday.com integration, AirMeet integration. And then finally, we've also added a few key updates to the HubSpot workflow. So you will see some revamped HubSpot workflow actions that will make you easier to launch your next campaign, right? So these are some of the integrations we're rolling out. And with that said, Cody, let me pass it to you.
All right. So now that everybody's seen all the good stuff, I get to go last. The new send tracker, like just as a sender, whenever I look at the send tracker, I'm just like, that is a lot better, and that will allow me to track my sends much better than I can right now. But cool. So I'm actually going to show first the HubSpot upgrade, and this to me is just like a nice quality of life upgrade whenever you're setting up campaigns. So I am actually on the old version of the marketplace, so I might struggle to find something, but when we get that new version going, it'll be easier. But let's say I was going to do a piñata as part of webinar registration. So I choose my piñata, and 4th of July is coming up, so maybe I'll do the Star Spangled Piñata. I'm pre-planning my campaign. So I would create the option to send out. I'm going to trigger it from HubSpot. I'm going to do address confirmation. Choose HubSpot. I want the notifications. And then I finish the touch. So what changed is now when you create this touch inside of Sendoso, it now becomes an option whenever you go to your workflow in HubSpot. So you have the Sendoso actions for a physical gift, for example. And now when I choose what touch I'm going to send out, this is going to pull a drop down of the options that I've got available. So I've got my piñata, I've got a bottle of whiskey that I can choose. And basically it just makes the process of choosing what you're going to send easier whenever you are sending through HubSpot. So this thing just allows you to create the campaigns more easily, and you have a nice drop down of options to choose from. And that's basically like the HubSpot upgrade. On the Dynamics side, a lot of our customers use Salesforce. So most of you, this probably won't impact, but maybe there's a couple on the call that use Dynamics as well. The ability to just send directly from a lead within Dynamics. So this is just basically matching what we've done in the past with other tools. You now have the ability to natively just go inside of a lead in Dynamics and send a gift. And this is actually very similar to what we are doing with Gainsight as well. So within Gainsight, you have your different layouts and different views, and it may be like a CSM summary. I think this really helps to unlock the customer success teams that might want to use Sendoso, that maybe you're not using Salesforce, maybe you're not using any of the other tools that Sendoso integrates with. This allows you to apply Sendoso directly to Gainsight. So this will allow you to go to a company or an account or a person in Gainsight, and you see the options that you have available to send out. And it also follows the same workflow as Salesforce, where budgets get assigned per rep. So this could be a CSM who wants to send a gift to a customer. They go directly in Gainsight and can send directly from their customer in Gainsight. So this just basically helps out with enabling you to send where you're at. And those are the brief integration updates.
Awesome. Thank you, Cody. So I'll just kind of read through some of the comments we're getting. Austin says so many great integrations. That's awesome. Madison says she loves the HubSpot upgrade. So that's great. And Amy also says she loves the HubSpot upgrade. So great integrations as part of the spring launch. Let's see if you have any additional questions here. Yeah, we still have 15 minutes to go. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to punch it in the Q&A tab, and the team will address it. And so we'll give folks maybe 30 seconds to 1 minute to see if they have any additional questions they want to get addressed. Yeah, we'll give 30 more seconds if anyone has any last minute questions. So I'll just pull up one comment from Anna here. It's not a question, but it's just a comment. So no question, but just a general reminder that we'd still love to see the ability to give a recipient the option to select a Sendoso direct gift. Yeah, we will definitely take this feedback into consideration, Anna. Thank you.
And I don't necessarily want to give too much away or promise too much, but we have this fairly high ranked on our roadmap, and we're working towards kicking this off in the very near future. So stay tuned. We may have some exciting updates here in the not so distant future.
Thank you. Thank you,
You're
Luke.
releasing next week, Luke? Is that what I just heard? This is part of the launch?
Not a part of the launch. We'll need a couple more weeks than just 2, but yeah, we understand that this is something our customers want, and so we're prioritizing it accordingly.
Awesome. There are a couple of actually more questions, so I'll just pull it up right here. Rob is asking, if we find vendors we'd like to submit to Marketplace, how can we go about that, and what are the main criteria that need to be met?
I can take that one. So we accept new vendors all the time. I don't think that there is a formal process for it, but if you let your CSM know, or just reach out to account manager, they should pass that on to our marketplace team, and they'll have a conversation with any vendor that you put in front of them. One of the biggest criteria, we do QA on the vendors that we add to the marketplace, but the absolute base level is they need to have some form of note that actually goes out with the gift, or we just won't add them to our marketplace.
Thank you, Cody. And yep, there's a comment from Austin. Contact your CSM. We have an internal marketplace request flow. Thank you, Austin. And this is the last question for the webinar. Colleen is asking, any plans to fully customize the address confirmation template?
So we're continuing to prioritize different ways to customize or brand various elements of the recipient experience. We don't have any definitive plans yet to add to the address confirmation template, but we're doing a prioritization exercise right now on the recipient experience. So Colleen, this might be a good chance for us to connect and see what you're kind of envisioning, and that would help us from a prioritization standpoint. So I can follow up with you after this call.
Yeah. Thank you, Luke. All right. It seems like we are at the end of this webinar. So I want to take a moment to thank all our customers for joining it. Hopefully it was informative for all of you guys. And if you guys have any questions for this group here, feel free to reach out, and have a great rest of the day. Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Bye.